Hey guys, I am super excited. I just got an email 2 days ago from a gentleman named Kevin in Atlanta. It turns out his grandfather, who's relatively close, maybe about 10 miles away from here, has a 1982 Trans Am that he's looking to sell or detail. He's not really sure, but it's been in his garage for over 30 years. And believe it or not, Devin's showing up in a few minutes, dropping off a 964 Turbo for some detailing. And I said, hey, why don't you come for a drive with me and see if we can go talk to this guy and maybe we can bring it home either for a detail or maybe flip it. So that and a whole lot more in this episode of Drive and Protect. With the Turbo now in the studio, I arranged to meet the owner at his house to at least pick the car up for a detail or possibly purchase the car if we can come to an arrangement. But either way, it needs to be cleaned before it can be sold.
Chuck.
So Devin came with me to the house to pick up the Trans Am.
Hi,
I'm
Chuck.
Larry.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Your grandson speaks highly.
Yeah, well, my grandson's a big fan of yours. Both of them are.
I appreciate that. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, looks like it's been sitting here for some time. What's the story on this?
It's been sitting here since '95. We haven't used it, and it's time to move, to get it cleaned up and moved out, or cleaned up and not moved.
How long has it been sitting here?
Since '95.
Doing quick math here, 26, 27,
28 years,
28 years, something like that.
4-speed, got a 305 engine in it with a small 4-barrel, and it's a Trans Am. It's the original kit car.
And so you, obviously you've been the first owner, the only owner since then?
Well, it was a company car when I got it,
Okay.
but when it was time to trade it in, I bought it because I liked riding it.
How many miles are on this?
It was 147.
All you?
All me. All highway.
I love the seats. Those must have been so amazing in '82, just killer. Look at these things. So soft. After a quick inspection, the car looks to be in pretty good shape for sitting for that long. Now the paint is clearly scratched up, it's faded, it's dusty, it's dirty, etc., but it's manageable. Same thing on the interior. Needs some steam, fabric adhesive for that seat back, but nothing, again, major. The tires are actually holding air, again, very rare, but what I was most excited about is that Chuck still has the hubcaps. I know it sounds silly, but these are incredibly hard to find these days because the design was so flimsy. They fell off when you were driving. So if you're driving down the road, you got these fancy things, they'll fly off and you can never find them again. So to have the originals would be incredibly valuable if I could move him from a detail into a purchase. All right, so option one is to bring it back to the shop, we clean it up, and then we put it online and hopefully sell it. Option two, if you're interested, I always like to say this, if there's a cash price right now, where would your head be if you wanted to sell this right now for cash?
My cash price would be $5,000.
$5,000. Okay. Before I saw some, emails and stuff from your grandson. I did a little bit of math based on where it's at. I brought $4,000 in cash today,
Okay.
hoping that we could make a deal. I understand you're at $5,000. Where can we go with that?
Well, my grandson, I promised him a finder's fee and he doesn't know how much it is, but I was going to give him $500
Okay.
as a finder's fee. And I know he did a lot of work contacting you
He did.
to get
did.
this whole thing set up.
Sure.
So that's where I'm at.
So an extra $500. So basically, we're splitting the difference between 4 and 5. The answer is I'm kind of falling in love with this car, so I think we can do it for sure. Okay. The only issue is I literally brought $4,000, so I owe you $500. I'll come back, I promise.
Well, I know where to find you.
I'm sure you do.
You're on YouTube, and
Yeah.
if you don't come back with my $500, you'll hear.
I'm sure. So with that, I made the deal, and Devin and I pushed the car with Chuck driving it to get it loaded up. Now, I'd have to come back later to bring him the $500 extra for his grandson, but for now, let's get it loaded up. Now, with the car outside in the sun for the first time in 27 years, it looked even sexier than it did in the garage. You can imagine in the early 80s, a car like this, it must have just been insane to see this going down the street. After a few quick measurements, we got it lined up and pushed it up onto the trailer. It's a good thing I don't have any back issues. With it securely strapped down and on the back of the hauler, Chuck and his wife waved goodbye and off to the studio we went with my very own Kit from the 80s show Knight Rider. Kit was a 1982 Firebird Trans Am, but in the show it was all blacked out and of course had a few more gadgets on the inside. But in real life, the stunt car was the same production car with a 5-liter V8 producing 150 horsepower. Later on in the detail, I found a bag full of paperwork and the sticker price on this particular car was $9,658.28 in 1982.
That was just scary because I couldn't see
Once it was off the trailer and inside the wash bay, step one was to power wash the years of dust and spider webs off the car. Next, I foamed the paint, wheels, and engine bay and allowed it to soak. I wanted to remove the wheels first, but I couldn't actually find the key to the lug nut lock until I reached underneath the driver's side seat and randomly found it, so that was good. So then I lifted up the car and removed the wheels to start the undercarriage and suspension cleanup. Naturally, every wheel came off easily, except, of course, the last one. So at that point, I had to call in the heavy reinforcements, Steve, from across the street.
How does the last one...
Sledgehammer time. I'm hitting with a sledgehammer, dude.
Put the camera down and help. He needs a young guy with some muscle.
No.
It's the wheel. So now I want you to take the hammer and give it a whack. Just hit the tire, don't hit the wheel. No, from the inside. You want to take it off, you don't want to put it on.
Oh, what's the matter with you?
No wonder you can't get it off.
Don't break my lift, all right?
Yeah. There you go. See?
That was it?
That's it.
See? I got it off easy. Nobody will know the difference. Did it all by myself. Thank you, Steve.
Can you handle it from here?
I think so. Underneath looks like what you'd expect after 27 years, so I needed to blow away the spider webs and the dirt just to see what I was working with. After a good soaking, I'm using a dual density brush with stiffer red nylon bristles in the middle and softer boar hairs around the outside of the brush that carry the cleaner around the surface for your scrubbing. Keep in mind, every product, every tool that I use, and of course free PDF downloads on cleaning can be found at my website, AMMONYC.com, so check it out and support the channel. During the final rinse underneath, I hit a pocket of dirt somewhere. It was completely unexpected and just blew right into my face and all over my shirt. But this is exactly why I should be wearing a full face shield going forward, but lesson learned. See my face? Should have been wearing a mask. Look at my shirt. So going forward, I am now gonna be wearing a full face shield. This didn't look that dirty, but clearly look at my floor, look at my face, look at my shirt, and my pants. Look at this, ready? I probably shouldn't do it, it's gonna get dust everywhere. All right, time to change. After the undercarriage, I like to clean the brakes, suspension, and of course the wheel well area with a couple of different brushes before I start soaking the top side again in fresh foam and then starting the wash process with new blue microfiber wash towels and of course emblem brushes to get in all the tight spots. Just for the record here, this isn't exactly what I would call a beauty wash. It's more of a wash that's focused on dislodging years of caked up grime and junk and that type of wash so that my pad doesn't hit it later when I'm polishing and then cause scouring in the paint. All right, come in here, check this out. This is a telltale sign of poop and urine. So pop this off. Sure enough, yeah. With the car now clean and dry, I needed to measure the paint before ever thinking about polishing it, as it's single stage and likely to be pretty thin. Okay, the paint is now clean and dry, and as you can see, it's in pretty rough shape, so we do have to polish it. The first thing you're gonna do is take out your paint depth gauge, and I put it on the paint, and as you can see, it's really low 4s, high 3s, maybe a low 3 right there. So what you do is you come into the door jamb. Now this is a rule of thumb. You open up the door jamb, and on most cars, you're basically gonna have between 5 and 7 mil, and then maybe 2, 3, 4-ish on the door jambs. On this one here, 1.51. So let's just say 1.5 versus 3. I don't have a whole lot to work with here, so we're probably gonna have to do a one-step polish. And the trick using the door jamb is typically they don't paint the door jambs as much as they do the outside of the car. Why? Because it's not exposed to UV, because the door is closed. That is a very general rule of thumb. But again, we'll try again, 1.65. And if I go on the paint, 2.81. There is next to no room on this. And obviously the top surfaces, the ones that receive most of the UV versus the sides, is gonna be a little bit thinner usually than the side. So keep all this in mind. Again, this is just a rule of thumb. One-step polish. We're gonna bring this thing hopefully back to life without burning through the paint. With my mask on, yellow pad, and yellow polish, I laid down a quick 50-50 to see the before and after. During my initial polish, notice that my arm speed is quicker than normal. Now this speed is used during a mow down technique because your goal is just to pick up as much residue as possible quickly before blowing out the pad and polishing again, but much slower this time. I repeated the same one-step process on the rest of the paint and watched the transformation. Single stage paint when polished properly is amazing. After about 2 hours of polishing, the paint looks 100 times better and the value of my purchase has only gone up. During the detail, I stopped for a second and took a quick Instagram shot of the hood during the 50-50 part and posted it up. Within 20 minutes, I had 5 people requesting to buy the Trans Am. Now watch until the very end of the video to see who shows up to buy the freshly detailed car. It was awesome. Oh man, that was awesome. In the trunk were the original hubcaps that clearly have been beaten up over the years after popping off and sort of rolling around on the ground, so I decided to give them a quick polish knowing that this wouldn't restore them completely, but enough to bring some life back without burning through the original paint, which would be devastating to the potential buyer. Now this is his words, not mine. Apparently these are highly coveted from what I was told. If you're wondering why I didn't use the 3-inch, it's because I had the 6-inch in my hand and it worked perfectly fine for my basic objectives. If you wanted to go nuts here, you would need to decrease the diameter for sure. For the interior, I removed as much as I could to inspect where the light mold might be coming from, and in the process, found a super cool lockbox on the driver's side rear trunk area. If you remember from the 280Z barn find detail and sell, there was a smuggler's box in the floorboard behind the driver's seat that reminded me of this as well. Super cool. Anyhow, the rear seats need to have the fabric replaced as we saw in Chuck's garage. The doors have a bit of mold on them, and everything sort of needs to be scrubbed. So I removed the T-top, which of course is a really fun feature, and I would imagine in today's standards, wildly unsafe to have a T-top in your car for, I'm guessing, structural concerns. But if you're Burt Reynolds and wear a cowboy hat while you're driving, this is a must-have option. Step 1, I used lather and an interior dual density brush, then the ammo steamer. Once removed, I used compressed air in the tight spots to dislodge any remaining cleaner. The before and after was great, so I just repeated the same process everywhere else. On the rear plastic parts in the car, you can actually see mouse droppings that needed to be removed. On the T-top bag in the trunk, I used lather and an interior brush to remove the light mold before jumping to the seats with shag and a carpet brush to work the product in first. Then I used the steam vac to minimize over-soaking the material that isn't really in terrible condition. I repeated the same steps on the carpet as well, and the material came right back to new. Now check this out, the steamer waste tank was absolutely disgusting. Now keep in mind, each of these steps, washing, polishing, interior steaming, etc., waxing, and so on, brought value to this car. How much? I don't really know. Well, it just depends on dozens of variables with your particular car. But the point is this, one weekend of detailing will bring a lot of value to your car, regardless of whether you're choosing to sell it or to keep it forever. It doesn't really matter. It's still a smart thing to do either way. As I'm rounding third with the steam vac, I wanted to draw your attention to both seat backs here. As you can see, it looks a little bit white and maybe it looks dirty. It's not, it's actually glue. And if I wipe it with my hand, it's just all flaking off. So if I hit it with anything, any moisture, any cleaner, any steam vac, that sort of thing, I won't be able to put this material back in a little bit. So once we're done with everything, I'm gonna hit it with compressed air, use the vacuum, then I'll lightly spray a little bit of adhesive, like what you would use for a headliner, and now I'll let it dry for a second, and then stick this thing back on there, and it'll look brand new. Next, I played with the wheels. The fronts weren't terribly bad, but could use a bath with Brute and Plum. But the inner barrels, on the other hand, clearly haven't been cleaned, as the brake dust had nowhere to go for two reasons. One, the openings in the wheels are really small, so the brake dust just can't go through it. Two, those little tiny openings are actually covered with the hubcap. So this thing didn't have a chance. It's just coated on the inner barrels. I did the best that I could to freshen them up in the quickest amount of time. With the interior about dry now, I focused on replacing the fabric on the back of the bucket seats. To do this, I first quickly vacuumed to clean up the dried out glue and crusty fabric. Then I used fabric spray adhesive on both the material and the backside of the seat in super thin coats. Just an FYI, make sure that you use fabric adhesive. Some other spray adhesives can be too thick and actually seep through the material, and it looks really bad.
Adhesive!
Once you've laid down the adhesive, allow it to dry for about a minute or so, but read the back of the bottle, and then place it on the back of the area there, and then stretch and adjust as you go. It will give you a little bit of leeway, maybe a minute or two, and then it'll be stuck for good. As a last step on the inside, I disinfected the hard surfaces and sanitized and deodorized the soft surfaces like the seats and the fabric, that kind of thing, with Ammo Restore, which has an EPA registration number and is specifically designed to not bleach or damage your interior as it kills bacteria throughout the vehicle. Leave the product visible for about 2 minutes, then remove with a microfiber towel. Check out my how-to video on Restore in the interior section of my website to find out more information. Finally, I reinstalled the interior pieces and the T-top bag, then the wheels, and tried my best at the hubcaps, which were incredibly complicated to install. So once again, I called Steve from across the street to help uncover the secret to installing hubcaps.
What's happening? I hear you're having a fabulous day.
All right, so how do you put this in? Otherwise, these are getting frisbeed across the street.
Here, and it corresponds with that. And now all the holes line up with nuts.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, if anyone knows of a better way than the 100 trial and error method that I was doing, please leave a comment below. These are just out of control, ridiculously complicated to put on for whatever reason. Thanks, Steve. Anyhow, after deciphering the Rubik's Cube of hubcaps, I applied Ammo Skin to the single stage paint because it just sort of feels right on this car. It's super strong, it's easy on, easy off. Sometimes I forget how good sealants are because of all the coating craze, etc. This just feels right. It looks gorgeous when I was done, and I couldn't have been happier. As the last step before the potential buyer came in to inspect the TA, I cleaned the windows, I added mud tire dressing to, of course, the tires, and I left the ozone machine in for a few hours prior to his arrival so I could just kind of clean up any lingering smell. When I was done, the inside and the outside looked and smelled amazing.
Anywhere you go, give it on. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
Bright and early the next morning, my first showing arrived in his stunning Trans Am. So this is
beautiful.
obviously single stage,
Single
as you know.
stage, yep.
I polished it. It came out much better, but obviously the paint's super thin.
Sure.
It's really old.
Yep.
Interior came out great, but check this out, 1995. Windows.
Wow,
thing
hasn't been inspected since '95.
Yes. Interior's not bad for a car that's been sitting forever.
Yeah.
Certainly not perfect, but in
Real
good
nice
condition.
though. Sure. Oh, overall, it's in great condition.
We have all the little parts. I know that you were asking about the little
Oh, yeah,
bag
the
thing.
shade, yep.
I have the shade over there.
Doors shut nice.
Yeah, what else do I have? I have a couple of, I have like the bolts, the locking bolts.
Oh, okay, for the wheels.
Yep, I have this
little air
bag
intake
here.
doors, yep.
And I took this out because I wanted to show you.
Uh-huh.
This is the last thing I didn't clean.
Oh, wow,
I
the
have
mice.
a little home there.
Ooh. The mice had fun in this car at
Yeah.
some point.
So yeah,
All
man,
right,
it looks
very
pretty good.
cool, yeah.
This was an adventure to put those on.
Yeah, they're a pain. You got to get them just right.
Yeah,
They
that-
got to click in just right. I've had 7 of these cars.
Yeah, all right. I thank God I have a neighbor who's familiar with this because
Uh-huh.
I had no idea what I was doing.
Awesome.
But yeah, man, poke around, look around, and
Very cool.
You have any
Real
questions so
nice.
far?
No, it's real great. How long has it been since it's run?
From what the gentleman was told me, I think it's about 5 years since it's been
Wow.
running. So I think he would go out in the garage, pull the Night Rider, start it up, and go, vroom, and then turn it off, and then like, never drive it or whatever.
Okay, you never drove it. All right.
so-
Well, it is what it is. You want to see if we can get it running? I mean,
Yeah.
I got some buddies that can help out.
Are they coming?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they should be here any minute.
All right, let's pop the hood.
All right. Oh,
Look at this.
Knight Rider.
Yeah, that's perfect timing right there.
Hello. Hey, you're outside? Well, come on in. Let's try to get this thing running. Excellent timing. Yeah,
Perfect.
come on in. All right.
Let me go get these guys real quick. I'm Larry. Yes. Marco. Yes. I think that's your guy right there.
There it is. How's it going? John.
John? Larry. Come on in. So Matt and his mechanics played with the engine by removing the air filter. They checked the oil, the antifreeze, and so on.
So every 82 Trans Am I've had, and this will be the 7th possibly, they all had this mark from the hood where it comes down right here and contacts
Do it again.
that spot. See that? Everyone has that part that contacts that shroud.
Outside, the guys got their tools from the truck to see if the car will turn over. Step 1 was replacing the battery, checking the voltage with the meter, and of course, filling the tank with fresh fuel to give it a crank to see what happens. If you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right. The sign of the cross for you, buddy.
A brick.
Yep. That's one thing we don't have with us as a car. Okay. All right, let's go. Hell yeah! Whoa! My God!
How is that even possible?
Wow!
That's the fastest any car has ever started. How is that even? Like, I'm not even joking. Like, how did that even?
Come on, it's all that bad gas. This is all the bad gas.
Doesn't have much gas in the tank.
We could throw some more in. You want me to throw more in? It's running really smooth. This is the smoke. All right, he wants to move this out.
You got it?
There you go, you got it. Woo!
Are you kidding me right now?
Amazing! That's GM. That is awesome.
Dude, seriously, I have no idea that that was going to start. He must have driven this sooner. I mean, like,
Wow.
like
Now
I-
it's under its own power.
Yeah, now it's under its own fuel.
Barely.
Probably out of gas.
All right.
Where are you at with this? I know that I've got about 5 or 6 offers already on this with Instagram and all that
Okay.
other stuff, right? The highest one I got, I'm being honest with you, is $11,000. I would love to be somewhere near 11,000 bucks.
All right. Well,
Listen to that.
it does run.
It's
Runs
saying Matt.
good.
It's saying Matt.
It's saying my name.
You gotta buy me. You gotta buy me for 11,000. What do you think?
I
I think
brought-
11,000. I think
I
11,000.
brought 10.5 with me, and I'll give you 10.5 right now.
Cash.
Cash.
You got yourself a deal. my
Yeah,
man.
buddy.
All right.
All right. Woo-hoo. Nice.
Good job.
That's it.
Now the big question is, money.
Well, we'll get the money man to give me the
Ah.
money. Oh, here we go.
10.5.
Stacks.
Love it.
That's it.
This is awesome. Well, that worked out.
Air conditioning operates at pressures that are about 300 psi. So for it to have any coldness at all, that means that it's just
It's not
for
leaking
age.
or whatever.
Yeah, it's just from age.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
It just said that the air conditioning is working. You gotta
Do
watch
it.
the video. It's absolutely insane.
Do it.
I can't believe it ran that
Do
quick.
it. Yeah! Woo!
I can't believe that's right.
Got the smoke fresh out
Yeah,
the
look,
tires.
it's coming out of the gas. See you guys. Oh man, that was awesome. I'm so excited. He is the ultimate Trans Am guy. I couldn't be happier. As always, guys, if you have any questions, you know where to find me, Larry at AMMONYC.com. I'll see you guys next week. Hey,
Hey.
as promised, $500.
All right, there you go.
There you go.
You're safe on YouTube.
Thank you.